In early 2019, YouTube's adventure niche was booming. From bushcraft survivalists to urban explorers, viewers were hooked on watching people venture into dangerous, isolated places. Among them emerged a quiet, seemingly harmless figure: Brady Miller, a 26-year-old solo vlogger based out of Colorado Springs. His channel, Wander Alone, was an odd mix of camping, survival tips, and long silent walks through remote forests. But it wasn't his gear reviews or trail guides that drew in over 800,000 subscribers. It was Brady himself. His voice was soft, almost hypnotic. He rarely made eye contact with the camera, but spoke like someone confessing to an invisible friend. His videos ended with cryptic sign-offs like, "The wild doesn't lie, and some things are only meant to be seen once." He called it art. Viewers called it peaceful. But for those who would later examine his footage frame by frame, one thing became clear: Brady wasn't just hiking, he was hunting. On the morning of April 22nd, two hikers veered off the main trail in Pike National Forest and discovered the partially covered body of Marissa Blake, a 23-year-old college student who had been reported missing 4 days earlier. Her body was clean, with no visible injuries, her skin eerily pale. She was fully clothed, laid on her back with her hands placed across her stomach like a corpse in a coffin. Just inches from her face was a GoPro camera turned off, but strangely undamaged. The lens was clean, as if recently wiped. At first, authorities were baffled. No signs of sexual assault. No blood. No bruising. No footprints. Just ... silence. A forest holding its breath. Investigators initially treated it as an accidental death until one sharp-eyed detective happened to watch a trending video on YouTube titled "Rain in the Pines," posted just 2 days prior. In it, Brady Miller sits beside a creek, the exact same creek where Marissa's body was found. Behind him, a tree with an unusual carving. "SB lives here." That carving was later photographed next to her body. Coincidence? Maybe. But then came the second death. On June 3rd, Jenna Whitaker, a 25-year-old nurse, vanished while returning home from a weekend hike. Her phone last pinged near Bear Creek Trail, where she'd reportedly stopped for gas. Within 48 hours, her disappearance hit local news, but something strange happened. Internet sleuths recognized her face, not from the headlines, but from YouTube. In a popular video posted days earlier, found a hidden waterfall. Brady is seen exploring an unmarked trail when a woman walks into frame. She's smiling, wearing a light blue windbreaker, and she waves at the camera. That woman was Jenna. Fans timestamped the moment and flooded the comments. "Wait, isn't that the missing girl?" It quickly went viral. Some accused Brady. Others defended him, saying it was just bad timing. But investigators were now officially watching his channel, and soon they'd start seeing things the public missed: intentional edits, strange background sounds, clues that weren't clues, until it was too late. As more people watched Brady's content, a haunting pattern began to emerge. Every vlog had a victim. Every random encounter was carefully orchestrated, and each setting a hidden valley, a mountain overlook, an abandoned forest road was later tied to a body or disappearance. FBI analysts dove into his videos, comparing timestamps, weather conditions, and shadows to reconstruct his movements. What they found was chilling. In one video, alone but not really, Brady sits quietly by a fire, his face barely lit. In the background, a faint scream is heard, almost imperceptible unless you use headphones. In another, nightfall ritual, he says, "She wanted to stay, so I let her," followed by a long pause and a cut to black. The camera lingers on his hands, stained with something too dark to be dirt. And in one now deleted upload, fans found a hidden frame, just one, where a woman's terrified face is reflected in a kettle hanging over the fire. It lasted only 0.2 seconds, but it was real, and it was never acknowledged. Brady had one advantage over the investigators: time. Each video was filmed days, sometimes weeks in advance, and uploaded with scheduled releases. This allowed him to fabricate digital alibis. On paper, he was live streaming or editing a vlog. In reality, he was miles away in the woods killing someone. His pre-recorded intros often showed him in different outfits or lighting conditions. In some cases, the intros were filmed indoors and spliced into outdoor footage, but tech leaves footprints. Metadata from Brady's SD cards showed precise timestamps and GPS coordinates, and those coordinates matched the victim's last known phone locations. It wasn't just circumstantial, it was systematic. This was no amateur, it was someone who had rehearsed, someone who wanted to be watched. On July 28th, authorities recovered a hidden SD card from Brady's hiking gear. Inside was a single file titled the_last_one_final.mov. It began like all his others. A misty morning, a campfire, Brady whispering. She wasn't like the others, she knew. For the first time, his hands trembled slightly as he poured coffee. He never looked at the camera. At 7 minutes in, the lens slowly tilts up, not by accident, but by command. Standing in the background, barely visible, is a woman. Her mouth is taped, her eyes wide. The video then abruptly shifts, cutting to darkness. But the audio continues. Breathing, crying, silence, and finally, Brady's voice. I never wanted to be famous. I just wanted to be remembered. The file ends. The woman's body has never been found. Her name remains unknown. On August 2nd, Brady Miller was arrested in a cafe in Estes Park, Colorado, quietly editing his next video. On his laptop was a draft titled How I Stay Calm in Chaos. When approached by U.S. Marshals, he looked up, smiled, and said, "You've been watching, haven't you?" The arrest was clean. He offered no resistance. In interrogation, he confessed to all 9 murders. But when asked why, his answers made no sense. Nature demands tribute, he said at one point. They gave me permission, he said at another. His words were poetic, detached, unhuman. Psychiatrists later called him a textbook narcissist. The public called him a monster. But Brady didn't flinch. He said, I was always honest. I showed them everything. They just didn't understand what they were watching. Brady was sentenced to 9 consecutive life terms, without the possibility of parole. His YouTube channel was removed, but by then, it was too late. Thousands of fans had downloaded and mirrored his videos. Reddit forums, dark web archives, and even TikTok sleuths continue to dissect his uploads for missed clues. Some believe there are more victims. One theory suggests a 10th girl seen briefly in a test shot from an unreleased teaser may have been the final target, but her identity remains a mystery. And in a final twist, authorities found one last chilling message. Carved into a tree trunk near Brady's last campsite were these words. She was the only one who watched until the very end.